Good morning. Good morning, everybody. If you can hear me and see me, please say so in the chat. If the chat is live today, please say hello and where you're coming from, and we're going to get this lesson started. I'm so excited to bring you guys this material. I just want to preference before I get started and tell you a little bit about it. So, long story short, last year, 2021, I began studying one-on-one with Bob Proctor. Those of you who know him, you probably saw him on The Secret, but beyond that, which came out in 2006, beyond that, he came to our company convention in 2019. And he's been a good friend and a personal mentor pretty much ever since. So I began working with him one-on-one, and he started teaching me things that I thought I already knew. What's funny is his mentor called him out once. I believe his name is Lee Val Vanderwall, sorry, and they call him Val for short. And when he was studying with his mentor told him, just be quiet. You don't know what you're talking about. You wouldn't be asking me the questions if you knew this material already. So he's like, just shut up for a minute and listen to what I have to say. So, man, this is 50 years in the making, probably more than that, actually. I think it's more like 60 years in the making. Bob's puts his program together for corporations and for individuals. Now, the Thinking into Results program, if you were to go through the Proctor and Gallagher Institute, you'd be paying between $6,500 and $7,000 or $7,500 for this material. And in order to get this material, you have to go through Proctor and Gallagher consultant. I became a consultant after Bob passed away in February because I wanted to continue learning, and I wasn't done learning from him, and I wanted more than that was just on YouTube or whatever his free material is, his live classes that, I've now shifted, but I wanted to study everything top to bottom, because every time I come back and study this, I learn more, and I wanted to bring this to my daily choice. So a lot of people ask me, what did you learn from Bob? Can you tell us everything that you've learned? And that's basically what this is. So now I will say I'm going to do the best I can at teaching this material. If you want to get it straight from the horse's mouth, you got to go through Proctor Gallagher Institute. But because you're getting it from me, you guys don't have to pay for it. So that's exciting. So chapter 1 or lesson 1 is all about the goal. And there's a reason why this is the first lesson in this series. There's 12 lessons in this series, I should say. Now, most people will take 12 weeks to get through this. Some will take 24 weeks to get through this. And that's because they'll do one lesson every 2 weeks. And that's because this material is so rich that sometimes it takes a little longer for it to all set in. And I want you guys to go through this like you were taking a class in college or, like going to school, because there's worksheets that are associated with each lesson. Those are going to be available in the back office, hopefully right after this call, if not soon after that. And you're going to have a way to really follow along and take action. So what it looks like, I'll just show you really quickly. I've put all mine in a binder. So as you get the worksheets, you can do the same thing and absolutely just go through it, right? So if you just watch these videos and you don't go through the worksheets and you don't put it into practice, you don't take action, absolutely nothing's going to change for you. It's one thing to know the material intellectually on that level, but it's another thing to put it into practice in your life, right? So if you don't put it into practice, you're not going to get any results. If you do put it into a practice and you really study this as if you were in a college class, you're going to get the most out of this. Okay. So I wanted to say that, and I want to start out this lesson by reading a quote from Napoleon Hill. He said, "Those who reach decisions promptly and definitely know what they want and generally get it. The leaders in every walk of life decide quickly and firmly. That's the major reason why they are leaders. The world has a habit of making room for the person whose words and actions show that they know where they are going." So the first part of this lesson really opens up to talk about belief. And I find that so interesting. If you go back since the dawn of civilization, all major religions and on theology, but also on the scientific side now also is confirming that belief really makes the world go around. Belief is really what makes your results happen and not happen. So we have to first start by looking at our own beliefs, our own belief system. Now, this is not a church class, so I'm not going to go into the different, ideologies out there. That's not the point. The point is our beliefs become our limitations that hold us back. You can absolutely not, you can't go beyond your beliefs, right? You can't, because your mind will automatically create ideas that support your current beliefs. So if you don't have an open mind to this material, again, you're going to hit a roadblock, right? So I challenge you to keep your mind open throughout this series and really challenge your belief systems that you have now, because that's how you're going to get the best and the most, bang for your buck in this course. Okay, so before we can go into the ABCs of goal setting, I want you to take a close look at your belief system, because these are the guards that are going to either allow you to proceed towards your goals or hold you back. All right, so really quickly, I want to shift into a story really quickly, just a personal example of belief, because I think it's so important to talk about. When I came into My Daily Choice in 2014, I had just met Josh for the first time. My belief about network marketing was gone. It was completely gone. It was destroyed. If you've ever been in a bad relationship before and the person keeps making the same mistake over and over again, right? You start to not believe them anymore, right? And when they start talking, you're almost tuning out, right? So that's kind of where I was in network marketing when I came to My Daily Choice. I had seen enough. What the most crushing part of it is network marketing to me was supposed to be hope. It was supposed to be the way out of the rat race. It was supposed to be the option that we had, to get out of our 9-to-5s. And the closer I got to this industry, the more I found out about it, the more disenchanted I had become with the industry as a whole. I realized that there was a lot of bad players in the industry, right? There's a lot of people at the head of the corporate teams that really had no idea what it took to build a network marketing company. And I had been, in so many companies. I know Robert Hollis can understand where I'm coming from here, but I had been so many companies, and I hit the wall, it seemed like, in every company, everywhere I went. And of course, after studying this, I could say maybe it was just me, right? But in some cases, it wasn't just me. It was, the ground floor opportunity that never made its way out of the basement. It was a lot of corporate bad decisions that impacted the field. And it was almost like corporate and the field were not communicating with each other. So I just had a bad taste in my mouth about network marketing. My beliefs were starting to change. Instead of being hopeful towards the industry, I was becoming very negative towards the industry. So when I met Josh, he challenged me to change my belief system about the network marketing industry. And this was a process. It really took a while for me to kind of come around and see the potential and see the vision that he had for not only the company, but for how he was going to reinvent almost the network marketing industry as a whole. And that's what we're seeing today. So why I want to share that with you guys is because you may think you know how things work. You may think you know how the world works. You may think you know everything, right? But what I'm here to tell you is, if you're not keeping your mind open, and not just your mind, if you're not keeping your heart open, that's the most important thing. You have to keep your heart and your mind open. They both have to be coherent, right? In order to really receive this material. So my belief system changed in the network marketing industry. The more I got to know Josh, the more I got to know how the industry actually works. And I know I've heard Robert Hollis say this in front of a room before, and he said, Josh gave me my belief back in the industry. Well, I can say the same thing. Josh gave me my belief back in the industry as well. So I wanted to share that with you to give you guys a little bit of an example to kind of understand what we're working with here. You have to keep your mind open throughout this course. Okay, now let's get into it. So this lesson is not very long. So if you are taking notes, take notes now. If you're going to watch the recording, just watch the recording, go through the worksheets at the end. You are going to receive a goal card download. So in your back office, you'll be able to download this and print it off. Mine's really kind of ugly because I just used Scotch tape to like laminate it. I'm pretty sure it's been through the laundry a few times, but it's still going strong. So these are goal cards. You're going to receive the template for this in the back office. You can print off 2 of them. And the reason why is because I want you to set 2 goals. Okay. One's going to be a professional goal and one's going to be a personal goal. So that's what I've done here. So make sure at the end of this lesson, you look for those worksheets and get those downloaded and printed off. Okay. Okay. So let's move on towards our goals. This is the most important thing that's going to impact your career in network marketing the most. Now, I'm going to tell you guys, in 2019, I thought I had reached the epitome of my success. Okay. I had reached earning $1 million a month as an affiliate. It seemed like there was no place else for me to go. I felt like I had the cars, I had the house, I had everything that I had thought that I was going after, right? I had achieved all that. But what I didn't realize was that at that point, I should have set a new goal, right? Because everything in life is all relative. It's a law of relativity. It's a universal law of the universe, really. People say, I want to earn a lot of money. What does a lot of money mean? Because it's all relative. For instance, if I was going to sell you this book right now, and I said, this book is going to cost you $500, you may say that's a lot of money for a book, right? But if I said, I'm going to send you to Dubai, all expenses paid for $500, you're going to say that's not a lot of money. So everything's relative. So why in my mind, I thought I had reached the top, I don't know, because there is no top, because the purpose of a goal is growth. Now, some will say, well, my goal is to get a new car. Okay, that's nice. That's good. That's okay. My goal is to get, a new house. Okay, that's an all right goal. But really, those are the results of your goal. I talk to people in my daily choice all the time, and I say, what's your goal? And they always spit out a rank. That's the first thing out of their mouth. I want to hit 25K affiliate. I want to hit 10K affiliate. I want to hit super affiliate. That's my goal. No, your rank is not the goal. Your rank is a result of you pursuing your goal. Your goal is something that's going to live literally in fantasy land. It's something so big, you have no idea how you're going to do it. Okay, something that you would love to do, and honestly, nobody could pay you to do it. Because you're just so passionate about it. You're so excited about it. What is that thing within you that you would love to do all the time? That's the thing you're going to focus on getting really, really good at, right? So for me, this is it. This is my bread and butter. This topic, this studying, like I walk around, I'm such a nerd, you guys. I walk around with these books almost everywhere I go. I take them with me because if I have a free moment, I'm getting into this because I want to study it. I want to get really good at it. I want to leave a legacy behind with this material, not just this, but my own as well as things progress. But what is it that you really want? Now, most people say, oh, I don't know what I really want. Well, and I don't believe that. I believe that people do know what they want, but they're rejecting what they want before they allow themselves to think about it. Like, well, I would quit my job and I would start a business. That's a goal. But if you're not pursuing it or not even allowing yourself to think about it with your reasoning mind, right? You're not even allowing yourself to get out the gates. Obviously, it's not going to happen. Most people do not allow themselves to just relax and envision what they really, really want. So there's 3 types of goals we're going to talk about today. And we're going to focus on one of them the most. A goal is something that's supposed to constitute growth in your life. The whole purpose of a goal is to grow, is to stretch, is to go beyond where you have never been before, right? I know Bob uses the example, Ed Hillary, who climbed Mount Everest. At the time, nobody had done it. And everybody that told him, there's no way you're going to do it. Everybody said, you're not going to do it. There's no way you can do it. Everybody that had done it at the time had died. Nobody had made it to the top of that mountain before, but he saw it in his mind that I was going to do that. He was going to go beyond where he had currently been. And he did it. The Wright brothers is another example. They were 2 bicycle mechanics that introduced us to a whole new kingdom, which was the kingdom of flight. They brought us the airplane. And of course, they got criticized along the way. Of course, their peers and family and everybody told them, what you're doing is a waste of time. Go get a real job, right? Everybody told me CBD is such a terrible idea. I had my lawyers calling me. I had the government probably not very happy about it either. I had all kinds of adversity in my way. I had all kinds of obstacles in my path with CBD. But I knew that this was what I wanted more than anything else. I wanted more than the dollar amount that came with it. In fact, I wasn't even thinking about money at the time. I was just thinking about how my goal is to get this product out to everybody. Okay, so your goal has to be bigger than yourself. Now, I want to stop for just a moment because I'm reading your comments and I love that we can interact on this. Kai said, my goal is to get out of debt, have a new car, and have a home. Okay. If I were Bob Proctor and I was mentoring you, Kai, this is what he would say. He would say, number one, get out of debt is not a goal. It's not a goal, because the reason it's not a goal is because you're going to be thinking about debt as you're pursuing that goal. See, everything is on a frequency. Everything, see, 528 hertz is a frequency. Your goal cannot be debt, or you're going to attract more debt. Your goal has to be prosperity, abundance, and attracting all the good that you desire in your life, right? And if I were Bob and I was advising you, Kai, and about a new car, have you ever had a new car before? He uses an example in this program. He talks about a gentleman that wanted a brand new Pontiac. He said, all right, that's an okay goal. What do you drive now? He said, a Pontiac. He said, really? Okay. So, how long have you had this Pontiac? 4 years. So you've known how to achieve this goal for the last 4 years. You're telling me you already know how to get a new Pontiac. You've already done that. So that's not a new, that's not a goal. That would not constitute a goal. Now I'm going to say it a different way so that you guys really get this. I mentor people all the time. I have my Calendly set up. I'm getting people booking me all the time. And one thing that I get a lot in my daily choices, my goal is to hit 10K affiliate again. They've already hit 10K affiliate. They hit it 4 years ago. They hit it when CBD was the hottest thing on the market. So why is their goal still 10K? You've been knowing how to hit 10K for the last 4 years. You already know how to do that. So why is that your goal? That's not your goal. You already know how to do that. I already know how to hit super affiliate. That's not my goal. It can't be my goal, right? Okay, so a goal is something you're going after that you've never done before, and you have absolutely no idea how to get it. If it doesn't scare you, you're on the wrong path. It has to freak you out a little bit. It has to be so big that you're almost afraid to pull it out of your pocket and look at it, right? Like I've had days where I've had this sitting in front of my mirror and I'm like, do I want to read it or not? Because if I read it, it might come true, and it scares me a little bit if it does come true. Do you want to know what mine says? Mine says, I've developed 100 people to super affiliate and I earn $5 million a month residual income. I give my expertise in law of attraction, human potential, and network marketing. The right people are attracted to me and we align perfectly. That's my goal. Sometimes I'm afraid to read that because I know if it comes true, I'm going to be on another level. And if I'm on another level, I'm going to have to get out of that. And that's going to be, I'm going to have to set another goal. A goal is designed to help you grow. It causes you to draw something within yourself that you didn't even know was there. If it doesn't inspire you, if it doesn't stir something up within you, if it doesn't excite you on a daily basis, you're waking up fired up. I got to get, into my office. I got to make 100 phone calls today. I got to do this because this is the direction I'm going in. If you're not fired up and excited every single day, you don't have a good goal, right? So let's talk about the types of goals. An A-type goal, there's A, B, and C-type goals, okay? An A-type goal is something you already know how to do. If you've already hit 5K affiliate and you're now 1K affiliate and your goal is to hit 5K affiliate, that's not a goal. That's an A-type goal and it doesn't constitute growth. There's going to be no growth attached to that because you've already done that. Does that make sense? So what's a B-type goal? A B-type goal is a goal that you think you know how to do. Maybe you've got all the plans out, you're collecting all the resources for this goal, you're putting all of it together, you're thinking, with your reasoning mind, I think I can do this. If everything aligns perfectly and I get all the resources I need. The problem with this goal is there's no inspiration. You think you can do it. So maybe you hit 25K and now you're going for 50K. I think I can do it. I think I have a good plan. I think maybe I can do this goal. That's a B-type goal. Something you think you can do. A-type is you already know how to do it. You've done it before. A lot of people are oscillating between A-type and B-type goals, right? I know how to do it. I think I know how to do it. I know how to do it. And I think I know how to do it. And they're going back and forth on this vicious cycle of small goals, right? So the problem with A-type is there's no growth attached to it. You're not going to be growing as a person, personally or professionally. A B-type goal, there's no inspiration. So what happens is you're going to get bored. You're going to be going towards this goal. It's not big enough, so it's not exciting enough, and you're going to give up on it. You're going to quit. And then you're going to go back to an A-type goal, and you're going to go back to a B-type goal, right? That's the problem with A and B-type goals. So I'm going to ask you guys, what type of goals are you setting for yourself? If these sound like the type of goals you're setting, well, then we figured out the problem already. So now let's move to the C-type goal. What is a C-type goal? A C-type goal is complete fantasy. It's fantasy land. It's just where you've used your imagination, you've relaxed completely, and you've envisioned the best and highest version of yourself. Now, Bob will say everything already exists. Nothing's created or destroyed. Everything's already here. The technology for the cell phone's always been here. We just didn't know that we knew how to do that. The internet's it's always been here. We just didn't know that we knew how to do that. The technology for electric and self-driving cars has already been here. It's always been here. We just didn't know we knew how to do that, right? So me earning $50,000 a year versus earning $1 million a year, that's already been here. That version of me had already existed. I just didn't know that I was capable of doing that. Okay, so a C-type goal is something you don't know how you're going to do it. And it is so big that it scares you. Okay, so what does that look like? Will you even allow yourself to dream that big? Will you even allow yourself to have 15 minutes where you can completely relax, close your eyes, and use your imagination to visualize that biggest and highest, greatest version of yourself? What does that look like? You have to first be willing to go through that exercise, right? A C-type goal come from your fantasies and are originated through the effective use of your imagination. Now, when you're a kid, you do this all the time. My toddlers are always using their imagination. In our basement, we have a basketball court. And in this basketball court, we put a jungle gym and a pirate ship, literally like Ari's obsessed with pirates. So he has a pirate ship in our basement. And in this pirate ship, they pretend to go on all kinds of adventures. They go on voyages from all over the world. In fact, the whole basketball court turns into an ocean, and we have a little remote control shark that we chase them around with because it's the ocean, right? So they're using their imagination to go on all these adventures. Now, what happens when kids go into school? They say, Jenna, quit looking out the window. Focus on what you're doing in front of you. Look at your homework, study what we're trying to tell you. Stop losing your focus. Stop drifting off. You're looking over here, daydreaming. Anybody ever get in trouble in school for daydreaming? Daydreaming is imagination. That's a higher faculty of your mind. That's something that we have to cultivate. We have to keep within us. This is something that we have to exercise and keep doing, even as adults, that we somehow forget how to do. Okay, so I'm going to get really deep into this, right, as we progress. But one thing that stood out to me most with imagination really is Leland Val Vanderwall, which is Bob Proctor's mentor, one of his many great mentors, that he said, he told Bob, we live on 3 planes of existence at the same time. We live on a spiritual plane, an intellectual plane, and a physical plane. Now, he did this exercise with Bob. He said, Bob, I want you to think about what your car looks like. He said, okay. He said, what color is it? He said, it's white. Okay. What's the inside look like? What color are the seats? Tan. Okay. Is it 2-door or 4 or 4 doors? Okay. Is it automatic or is it stick shift? It's automatic. Okay. And he's going through this exercise. And while he's thinking about his car, he's looking over here, like off into space. He's almost closing his eyes. He's trying to visualize what that looks like, right? So in that moment, Bob is not here. Physically, his body's here, but his mind is somewhere else. Have you ever tried to have a conversation with somebody that's on their phone? Like this? This drives me freaking nuts. Like, if you go to a doctor's office, I recently went to one. I don't typically go to the doctor, but sometimes I do. Every single person in a waiting room was doing this. They're in 2 places at the same time, aren't they? So their mental faculty is someplace else, while their physical body is someplace else. We live on 3 planes of existence at the same time. Why does this matter? Well, because you're going to go into that creative space to think about what you really want. You're going to use your imagination. You're going to write it down like it's a shopping list. I love the part in The Secret in the movie that's on Netflix now that talks about you're going to write down, what you want. It's almost like a shopping list. You have like a magic genie, and out pops a genie and says you get 3 wishes. Well, what are you going to wish for, right? So you need to go into that realm. You need to go into that mental state where you can visualize, because it is there that you're going to create what happens next in your physical reality. You see, everything's created twice, first in the spiritual world and then second in the physical world. That may be a lot for you guys to digest right now if you've never heard that before. But as we go through this, it'll start to make a lot of sense. It may sound like fairy tale now, but as we go through this, it'll start to make a lot of sense. So our goal then is to only set C-type goals. All right. And so here's how it starts. It starts out as a fantasy, right? Starts out like way beyond our existence now. But as you start putting these ideas together, you start really giving it some thought. You're allowing yourself to really play with it in your mind, right? That's going to help it. That's going to help turn it into a theory. But you've got to ask yourself two things in order to get there. First, you have to ask yourself, am I willing? Well, actually, first you're going to ask yourself, am I able? Let's start with that. Are you willing and able? But are you able? Am I able to do this? Well, if you know about yourself, then you will know that you are able. If you don't know about yourself, you may not know that you're able. And what I mean by that is when you know that there is perfection within you, there is spiritual DNA within you that is absolutely perfect. And all we have to do is get rid of the paradigms. We have to get rid of the virus code. We have to get rid of all the BS that we've collected along the way to let that perfection shine through. When you know about yourself, when you know that you are inherently a creator at heart, when you know that that is what you're designed to do here, then you know you're able. You may not know that you're able if you don't know that about yourself. So the more you study yourself, the more you'll believe that you're able. So if you say that I am able, well, then it turns into a theory. So now you start putting this into your mind. Now you're getting a collection of ideas on how you can maybe actually put this together. My Daily Choice was an idea before it was an office, before it was a company, before we hired anybody else. It was just an idea. Everything starts out as an idea. Everything in your existence. Look around your room. It was the product of somebody else's idea, right? Light switches that go on and off in buildings is just, that was an idea. This light right here making me extra glowy, it was somebody's idea. Everything was an idea first. It didn't start as just an idea. I mean, it started as an idea and then it turned into a theory. Okay, so we're moving from fantasy to theory, which is our goal. And then you ask yourself, am I willing? Am I willing to pay the price? Am I willing to go through all the hardships it's going to take for me to get there? Am I willing to wake up early every single day and make my 200 phone calls for the day? Am I willing to go through that to hit my goal? Am I willing? Because this is where most people say no. But the only people that are saying no is because they didn't set a C-type goal. If you set a C-type goal, you get excited about it, you believe it, then you were going to go through this process. Now, after you build it as a theory, as a goal, it becomes a fact. Am I willing, able? You say yes, yes to both of those, it becomes a fact. And then before you know it, you see it in your physical reality. Everything that I've created in my life is not here by chance. It's not by luck. It wasn't, it was by design. I'm going to tell you guys, I started out as somebody that had a little bit of sales experience. I had a lot of jobs before I came into network marketing. And I got a lot of experience from those jobs. But I knew in every single position that I was in that it was not right. It felt off. It felt wrong. I was not in harmony with it. And I wore out my welcome in almost every place that I had been in because I knew that I was meant to keep growing. And before I knew it, I had outgrown these companies. My parents kept saying, just pick a job. Just stay put. Create some stability in your life. Like you got a good job, just stay there. Just plug in and out every day, work there 40, 50 years, retire, have a pension, have a retirement plan. And I said, no, I have to keep growing. I have to keep growing. And if I don't keep growing, then I'm dying. Those are the only two options you have really in life. If you're not working towards your goal, if you're not working towards any goal. And what's interesting is people tend to set retirement as the ultimate end all goal, right? And then they get to retirement and then they don't set any more goals and they start to disintegrate mentally and physically. I asked my parents a couple of weeks ago, I said, what are your goals? They're like, I already reached my goals. I am retired. They looked at me like I had, like writing on my forehead or something, and I said, well, maybe it's time to set some new goals. And it took them a while. And then I finally said, well, maybe we'd like to travel. Great. Let's talk about that. Right. So we have this weird thing in our mindset where we're going to work towards our ultimate end all goal, which is retirement. And then we're going to stop working and do nothing. Live the good life. No, that's not a goal. That may be a goal, but then when you get there, you have to set a new goal, right? So here's the deal. You have to believe that you're able and willing to do what's required in order to turn that theory into a goal and that goal into a fact. You have to be willing to pay the price. I had to be willing to pay the price. I had to get up early every day. I had to go to bed late every single day. I had to put in double duty every single day. I had to follow up with hundreds of people that turned into thousands of people every single day in order to reach my goal, right? So where are you at now? What is your goal now? If your goal you think is 5K, 10K, 25K, 50K affiliate, you don't have to know how you're going to get there. You have to show up every day and you have to believe that you're going to get there. And if you do that and you work on yourself, eventually you will be moving towards that goal and you will reach that goal. People that set goals are happy individuals. They're productive individuals. They are people that are more fired up than you wouldn't believe. We have people like that in our office almost daily, it seems like now. And it's exciting. It's a refreshing type of energy. And if you've been in a slump, it's because you haven't set the right goal, right? So I'm going to challenge you guys also, as you're going through this process, do not give one speck of mental energy to how this goal is going to be accomplished. Don't concern yourself with that. Because the moment you start thinking, how am I going to do that? That's the moment you start talking yourself out of the goal. Like, don't think, I can't do this because I don't know how. Just take the first step, right? Dr. Martin Luther King said that. Just take the first step. The staircase is going to reveal itself on the way. I got to a point in my own journey, you guys, where I felt like I knew that if I jumped off a cliff, I would learn how to fly on the way. Like, you have to be in that flow state. You got to be in that state of creation at all times in order to really get to where you want to go. Okay, so I want to end it with this. We're going to set 2 types of goals. When you go through these worksheets in the back office, you're going to see all of these pages here that I showed you today. I want you to set a personal goal. Your personal goal may be, your goal weight, or, want to lose 30 pounds, or I want to improve my health. Be very specific about what you want to do, though. Don't just leave it at that. I want to lose 30 pounds by December 1st, 2022. Whatever your goal may be, right? That's a personal goal. Or maybe, it's not fitness related at all. Maybe it's health related. Maybe it's something else related. Maybe you want to fix relationships in your family. Maybe you want to be a better wife, a better mom. Be very specific with your goal. That's a personal goal, a personal want. Okay. Let yourself want bigger than what you have right now. Okay. Your professional goal. This may be what you want to do and what you want to accomplish in My Daily Choice. And I want you to set a goal for yourself. And also I want you to set a goal for your team. What will you accomplish together? 500K is a rank for one person. That's not a rank for a whole team. I know people have said, we want to be a 500K team. They have their own goals. They want to hit 500K too. So that's okay, but you want to think bigger than that. Okay, so write down your professional ones and be very specific. It may be a rank, but maybe beyond that. What are you going to do once you hit that rank? Are you going to travel more? Are you going to book a trip to Tahiti? Like, what are you going to do? Allow yourself to not hold yourself back when you're writing these out. Okay. So you're going to set 2, professional and personal. And I want you to write it down in detail in present tense. I'm so happy and grateful now that, okay. And you're going to write it down in present tense as if it's already here. Because the fact is this, the only time we really have is right now. So it has to be in present tense. If you write it as if it's in the future, it will always be in the future. You'll be in harmony with something that hasn't happened yet, right? So you want to be in harmony with it as it is right now. Okay. So I just want to end this really quickly by saying that I know that some of you are going to be pushed beyond your wildest dreams. You're going to be pushed to your limits, and what you're going to experience is going to be nothing short of phenomenal. We all start from somewhere. There was a time in my life where I was going door to door. I was banging on doors trying to sell life insurance to people that I had no idea who they were, what they wanted. I only had one product to deliver and I knew I had to do it. And every time I went up to another door, I had this sinking feeling like I was about to be rejected, because time and time again, I had got rejected. And people told me no. They slammed the door in my face and said, no, we don't want any, not interested. And every single time I went back into my car and I put on this type of material in my car and I played it over and over and over and over again. It was a process of repetition. And so I want you to watch this video, not just right now, but I want you to watch it at least 2 more times this week. Because every time I went back to my car and I played these tapes, I had to reset my mind and I had to reestablish my belief, not only just in myself, but in what I was intending to accomplish. And I realized as I was going through this exercise, I went up to the next door and I was expecting a sale. And before I knew it, I was getting sales every single time. And so if you're making cold calls or warm calls or whatever kind of calls you are with your team, and if you're getting rejection now and you're feeling discouraged, I want you to keep this in your mind for the next week until we get to next week, okay? Keep this in your mind and know that you can achieve anything that you set out to, but you have to believe that you can do it. And if you have a trouble with your beliefs, that I want you to read your goal cards every single day, every single night, say it in the mirror, say it like your life depends on it. Reprogram yourself to believe that you can go after these goals, C-type goals. If you haven't set the goals yet, then you're going to download those cards. You're going to do it today. And you're going to put them everywhere so that you can see them every single day. All right. If we can do that, then we can get to the next lesson, which is going to blow your guys' minds and knowing doing gap. And I will see you guys on our next call. Thank you guys so much for hopping on. I will see you on our next lesson. Bye, guys.